All right, Shalom. All praises unto Yahweh Shem Shai. All praises unto Yahweh Shem Shai. Okay, Barakatha Yahweh Shem Shai. Double honors the apostles, great millstone, and honors you brothers of people pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. So as you can see, we pretty much have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different articles, and these are all homing in on different facets, different aspects of the economy. And in no random order, I'm just going to go through them and try to break them down as best as I can. Obviously, there's more people more astute in breaking these things down, than I am. But I'm going to give it my best shot. The main thing to take away from this video is there's pretty much no financial hope within this kingdom. So, as you're going about your so-called day-to-day life, you might be looking for work, or you might be at the job and looking for a pay rise, or you're looking for a promotion, or whatever, just to keep your so-called day-to-day life going. Okay, it's important to remember that this kingdom is going to be destroyed, and the instruments of destroying this kingdom, that being the economy, the World War III, well, they're all in play right now. Okay, in fact, when I go to this this article here, it pretty much tells you that the next financial crisis has already began has already arrived in Europe, and people are starting to freak out. So we've seen Greece fall victim to that. Okay, we've seen different countries fall a victim to these so-called instruments of Esau, right, in destroying this this economy. Okay, because the economy has to be destroyed. You're not gonna just issue out a chip and say, use the chip. You already got a system that's in place. You're gonna have to crash it, and then try to implement or say we have to implement a new system, and this system is going to be whatever, and then there you have the chip as spoken about within the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. So I'll do this in the order that I've prepared them here. And like I said, this is in no particular order, okay, but it's just 5 different articles that I came across today dealing with the so-called health of the markets right now. Okay, so it says a massive central bank purchases, last-ditch attempt to save the economy, and gold cap ? Okay, so pretty much what you're seeing is a situation where all of these different governments, okay, are selling off assets and whatever to the central bankers, so they're getting more and more indebted. And what the central bankers give them is currency in return. Okay, so those economies can function. Okay, so it says central banks bought a staggering 1.5 trillion in assets in the 5 months of the year to keep the economy from imploding. So that's the way I understand it. Okay, the way I understand it is you got a central bank. Central bank borrows money out to the different banks underneath that them within that country, and that's where you get your currency flow from. Okay, but there's a trade-off. You're gonna buy off something. So in buying off something, okay, they're basically buying off these assets that these countries have, and you've seen that in Venezuela and whatever. Okay, it says it's true. 300 billion a month of central bank assets purchases pushes up stocks, bonds, and real estate values, while it depresses caps on golds. The amount of central bank assets purchases are now reaching insane levels, right? And they have to. Right, in the same way, being a drug addict. So if they're saying what they're going to say here is pretty much that if this is the instrument that they're going to use to try to prop up the market, well, it just becomes addictive in terms of propping up the market. But see, it's all systematic. Okay, they're having it to where this bubble gets as massive as possible, so you can have as big a crash as possible. Okay, like a lot of people like to talk about the 2008 crash. But the fact of the matter is, you're still in basically the same economy as the 2008 crash. Okay, there was no fix, there was no new system implemented, there was no changes. Okay, you had a lot of different loan systems renamed, a lot of so-called stimuli packages that were deemed quote unquote financially illegal, re-implemented under different names. Okay, it was just remixed. Okay, So you're just gonna have this big economic crash, okay? And a lot of people is gonna be messed up about that, okay? So I'm gonna move on to the next article. You can go read this about. Like I said, I'm just doing this to the best of my ability. To really do it properly, I would have to do this the study of it and go into these different various bits, okay, the different various market terms and so on and so forth, which I'm happy to do. I mean, if you want to hit me up and you want me to expound on that, I'm happy to do. But in the interest of time, you pretty much get the gist of what this is talking about. Okay, so it says here, global economy is rebounding, but there's one big problem. Okay, there's a dark cloud building behind. So they're saying it's rebounding. Why? Because they're implementing all of these so-called stimuli packages, but it's not really rebounding. Okay, as you're hearing from here, they have to carry on redoing these stimulus packages. That's why you have quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. In the Bank of England, the interest rates is still next to zero. I think it's at 0.25 at the minute. Up there within America, I think the interest rates is gone negative. Okay, so they're paying people to basically get more loans. Okay, so in so doing, you're seeing a false reading in terms of market growth, because that market growth is based on negative interest. Come on, that's not going to work. So what happens when you start raising that interest back up to nominal levels? You're going to have a crash, okay? So it says there's a dark cloud building up behind the world's best period of synchronized growth among developed and emerging countries this decade. One in time could rain down violently in the global markets. The problem identified by strategic hedge fund managers Stefan Jen is a deepening imbalance in the lack of new safe haven assets and in the world as the world outputs expand, okay? In other words, when you had China making all of those toys and these different things, where you had places where you can invest in them. Okay, so the bank is out there within China. What they're doing is they're propping up the market by these so-called stimuli packages. So it looks like the market is rebounding. It looks like I wouldn't even say growing. I'll just say is rebounding, because that's the term they use there. They're saying rebounding, right? We're not saying growth, we're saying rebounding. So if it is rebounding, all that could be, that's all down to the measures that they put forth. Okay, next to zero or even negative interest rates. Okay, what do you call it? Quantitative easing. Oh yeah, you also got a thing of currency wars that plays a part in it. Okay, so you're seeing the so-called market, quote unquote, rebounding, but in actuality, okay, there is no new safe havens because nobody's buying anything, nobody's building anything. Okay, there's nothing to invest in. Okay, because there's nothing is done. Okay, it says China's other developing nations are accumulating wealth, but failing to create sophisticated local markets that feature their own risk-free instruments. That's left a dangerous reliance on United States treasuries, according to Jen's argument. So from what I can understand from this, by all means correct it within the comment section if you desire to. Well, from what I can understand in this, the more U.S. treasuries you buy, the more so-called financial investments that you can have. In other words, you might go out there on the bond market and buy certain amounts of U.S. treasuries or whatever, and that gives you a certain amount of economic safe haven, if you will. All right. In that, the dollar is the reserve currency for the whole world. Okay, so investing in the dollar, people are always going to buy the dollar from you. Okay, or borrow the dollar from you and try to pay it back with a certain amount of interest. That's called a safe haven that you can invest in. Okay, so it says that according to Jen argument, a perpetuating bond bubble pushing investors into riskier assets. Okay, all right, so they're not really, there's nothing to invest in. She's just making riskier investments. And the fact of the matter is, when you have that, and they're showing you here, and this is beautiful. Okay, so what they have here is that. So what do we have on the horizontal axis? That's yeah. It was percentage points. What does that percentage point actually mean to us? Okay, if it is it. All right, okay, I won't go into that because I thought it was showing me something different, but that's fine. It says it is a tweaked version of the savings glut argument that the Federal Reserve Governor Ben Bernanke put forth in 2005 to explain why American borrowing costs were stuck at low levels at the U.S. hiked interest prices. So I mean, it goes into some other things there, but I mean, you got the same sort of gist. From there, let's read this. It says China, as the world's second largest economy, offers the best chance to develop an alternative to the United States Treasury markets. Okay, though its capital controls have left foreign investors wary to take full advantage of the avenues to invest in the government's bonds. But even then, where is really China selling all of that stuff for? Okay, where they're really selling that their so-called goods that they're producing. Ain't nobody buying them. Ain't nobody got that money anymore. Okay, let's go to this. It says here, this is in the Prepper Fortress. It says top economists predict the housing crash is coming. Prepare for imminent economic crash and stock market crash worse than 2008. And this was posted June the 12th. What's the day? June the 14th, so 2 days ago. Okay, so it says Economic doomsday is here. The second financial bubble is going to soon burst. That's going to be beautiful. And there's nothing anyone could do about it, of course, because the elites want this to happen. Okay, the Federal Reserve has set up the American economy for financial collapse for printing trillions of dollars back in 2008 and 2009. The next crash is coming. The decision by central banks to paper over their economy's troubles with massive injections of debt likely means that the next economic collapse and stock market's crash is overdue. So I'm going to just read that statement again because I believe that ties in with this. Again, like I said, I'm not an expert at this stuff. I'm just doing my best. Okay, you might get some people on there saying, no, this is actually this. Look, I'm just doing my best. The point's still the same. You know, the economy is done. Okay, you can try going into these different words and descriptive terms, whatever. Which I think I've done it all right anyway. But the fact of the matter is, America's done as an economy. The whole world, the whole global economy is done. Okay, but I believe what they're saying here is the next crash is coming, and the decision by central banks to paper over the economy troubles. Economic troubles with massive injections of debt likely means that economic collapse and stock market crash is already overdue. So they were saying over here, right, central banks bought a staggering 1.5 trillion assets. And what did they say? Did they say it was going into that? Maybe I got the wrong end of the stick. Wait. Maybe I got the wrong end of the stick on that one, but pretty much, you got more and more money being printed out of thin air, and more debt. Okay, meaning to say a crash is overdue. It says the Federal Reserve's policy of printing trillions of dollars back in 2008 and 9 have locked into place a serious financial crashes at some point in our future. And this is 08, 09. They're still talking about 08, 09 because, like I said, nothing really changed since then. Okay, nothing really stopped. Nothing really restarted. You just had. I'm pretty sure that the U.S. debt clock, goes. Where is it? About between 12 and 14 trillion right now. It goes back before 2008. So nothing's really changed, man. Right, going so far as to intimate the financial collapse and market crash will occur at least sometime in the next 2 years. It's unavoidable, right? Even if even Donald Trump can't stop it, no one's gonna be able to stop it, man. Okay, top economists, right, predict that the next 18 to 24 months, right, the imminent collapse will happen. Now, I'm not saying that. We don't know when I can't tell you that. But I know from these articles that it's way overdue. Okay, so in the interest of time, let's go on to the next one. This is this was posted by the brother Rokaya Kwam within our group chat. after I had posted some of the prior ones, and I wanted to go into some of them too. Okay, I'm not going to go into the whole, I'm just going to read it like I did the other one. So it says 2017 is going to be the worst retail apocalypse in the United States. More than 300 retailers have already filed for bankruptcy. Okay, not even during the worst parts of the last recession did things ever get this bad for the U.S. retail industry. As you will see in this article, more than 300 retailers have filed for bankruptcy in 2017, right? And it's being projected that a staggering 8,640 stores will close in America by the end of the calendar year. Right? That would shatter the old record of by more than 20%. Sadly, our ongoing retail apocalypse appears to only be in the early chapters. In other words, it's going to get worse and worse. Okay, let's jump down a little bit. It says bankruptcy continues to pile up in retail industry. Okay, more than 300 retailers. Go down again. It says children's clothing store Gymboree filed for bankruptcy. I'm just going off of what they're saying. I haven't double checked all of this stuff. Again, you're welcome to check if this stuff is actually just happened. Okay, so Hudson Bay Company, out here in Britain, was it BHS? That was British home stores. That they're bankrupt now. That's non-existence. Woolworths, those traditional British stores, they're closed. Okay, stores closing and dead malls are nothing new. In other words, you might have a mall and there'd just be nothing in there because nobody got no money, man. Okay, so I'll go on to the last and final article here. It says the next financial crash has already arrived in Europe and people are starting to freak out. It says, did you know that the sixth largest bank in Spain failed in a spectacular fashion? Okay, just a few days ago. Many are comparing the sudden implosion of the Banco Popular to the collapse of Lehman Brothers in 2008. I believe the Lehman Brothers played a critical part in the 2008 crash. It says an EU regulator hastily arranged the sale of the failed bank to Santander in order to avoid a full-scale financial panic. Sadly, most Americans have no idea that a financial crisis is starting to play out over in Europe, because most Americans only care about what's going on in America. But we should be paying attention because Europe is the second largest economy on the entire planet, and the euro is the second most used currency on the entire planet. The U.S. financial system is already teetering on the brink of disaster. Right, this new financial crisis in Europe could turn out to be enough to push us over the edge. And so, so you're seeing this thing of a crisis now, coming from a multitude of different directions. Okay, from a multitude of different directions. Okay, again, you can read these rest of these articles for yourselves. You can see, economic collapse, blog.com, same thing, Zero Hedge, Bloomberg, and Zero Hedge. And this is Prepper Fortress. So you can read the rest for yourself. But like I said, I'm not no economist, but the fact of the matter is, you can see that there's really no hope within this economy. So with that, I'm gonna say, all praise unto Yahweh, Bashim Yahshai, double honor to the apostles of great millstone, and honor to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay, shalom.